Hey, everybody. I'm Joe Smith, family pastor at Shift Church, and with me is licensed therapist Keli Ball. And Kelly, if you'd like to tell everybody what it is that you do.
Sure. I'm a licensed mental health counselor, and I work with children and adolescents that have been through trauma and abuse and other comorbid mental health issues. And I work with Village Counseling Center in town.
So I had reached out to Kelly because I've spoken to a lot of parents, and as a parent too, and seeing the level of anxiety in our kids just kind of continue to increase, especially the longer all of this goes on, and school year ending abruptly. And so I thought, you know what, I want to reach out to her and talk to her about that. So Kelly, what would you say to parents that they're trying to help their kids process all of this stuff? I'm a dad, so I don't know how to walk him through a lot of this stuff. So what would you say?
Well, I would say first, anxiety isn't necessarily a bad thing. We don't know what the future holds, and it's unpredictable, and that's okay. Um, but there are some things that, as parents, we can do to help our children. One is being open and honest with them about how we're feeling ourselves. It's okay to tell children what's going on and to inform them. Keeping the information from them isn't going to be helpful because they're going to be able to feel the stress on you. So sharing with them your thoughts and feelings and providing them some encouragement and normalizing that it's okay to feel worried about the future.
Oh, okay. Well, that's reassuring. That's
Yeah.
that's nice. So for kids that are maybe okay. So where does that kind of line of like, okay, normal anxiety, I feel normal anxiety, oh, maybe not normal is not the right word, but I feel anxiety about the situation, where does it begin to cross a line to become something more than just like regular everyday anxiety?
Sure. So maybe we can categorize it into like thoughts, sensations, and behaviors. So some of the normal thoughts kids might be having right now that would, is grandma going to be okay? What happens if someone in my family gets sick? That's a good time to talk with them about a plan you would have. So if someone in your house did get sick, what would you do about that? You share with them, well, we have one bedroom where the person might sleep and use that bathroom, and we use this bathroom. You come up with a plan with your child, um, and assessing their thoughts and if and working through those with them. You can also see what's going on with their sensations. So um, a lot of kids, if the anxiety is getting more severe, they might have lots of stomach aches or
Mhm.
be under eating or overeating, more than what a normal teenager might overeat.
Yeah.
would be a sign of concern. If they present with a lot of dizziness or headaches, um, signs that would be of more anxiety, where you would need to help them manage some of those things. And if it gets too severe, you might want to talk to the doctor about that,
Mhm.
if they're not handling that well. Um, and some common behaviors that you might see would be like restlessness, trouble sleeping at night, if they're waking up a lot at night or having a lot of nightmares, bad dreams, and they come to you. Um, if they have trouble concentrating, especially with schoolwork right now, that's going to be a normal thing. And wanting to avoid the schoolwork is also going to be normal, because I'm sure as parents, there's a lot of anxiety with just knowing, how do I manage helping my child finish their schoolwork just by itself? And yes, so that's going to cause anxiety for the child, but also for you. Um, and so working through that with them will be helpful in coming up with a plan. um, let's see, anything else that they might be, especially the younger ones, more clingy than usual,
Mhm.
and that would be normal for right now, and seeking more reassurance from you as a parent. So it's okay again to tell them, like, this is what's going on. We want to make sure that we stay safe, and everyone's staying home right now to keep their germs to themselves so we
Right.
don't spread our germs to someone else. And so we're all just being safe and trying to make good choices.
So in all of that, like just as an experience as a parent, that when my children have been in like stressful situations, sometimes they tend to act out.
Hmm.
And so with all of this, and it's just a constant, like
Sure.
that's the thing for our youngest, is that it's just constantly there for him. And he's 10, so not quite on the, our 17-year-old processes it a whole lot differently and can see it from a different perspective.
Hmm.
So as a parent,
Hmm.
how do I respond when a child is acting out because of that anxiety that they're feeling, out of that stress? I don't know that discipline is necessarily the proper response sometimes. I don't want to add to it, is what I'm asking. How do I not add to that?
Sure. Uh, well, the tricky thing, and what parents might not want to hear, is the first way to manage that is by managing your own stress.
Mm,
So, children are going to feel the stress from you, whether you tell them you're feeling stressed or not. It's something that you can't hide from them. So, probably the best way to manage it is managing your own stress. So, whatever that means for you, maybe it's running, reading a book, exercising, taking 10 minutes outside by yourself, taking a walk, um,
yeah,
whatever the list of coping skills are. If you're managing your stress, then you're going to also model that to your child. Um,
that's a
the other
really
thing is, yeah, discipline, like you said, isn't going to change the behavior when it comes to anxiety and stress. Um, so sometimes you have to take a break. I'm sure you've learned that with your own child. If you can't expect a 10-year-old to sit down for 4 hours and do homework
right.
without moving, right? So if you can, whatever you can accomplish, that's what you do. So
Yeah,
if your child is really good at sitting for 10 to 15 minutes, do that one assignment, get up, go outside, take a walk, take a break, have a snack, come back, and do a little bit more. Um, and
that's a
also,
good tip.
I think ruling out environmental factors is really important too, because maybe they're just tired or hungry,
Yeah,
and you give him a snack, and then he's able to sit down longer.
yeah. So with that idea of being able to focus and stuff, and that leads me into like the thought of screen time, because
Mhm.
right now that I'm sure for everybody that's gone through the roof. So
Sure.
so what are some thoughts that you have about that idea of screen time playing into this, and then anxiety on top of that?
Hmm. Well, as parents, going back to the idea of handling your own stress is minimizing your own screen time. So rather than having the TV in the background playing the news for 24 hours, maybe you want to check in one time a day, play it for 15, 20 minutes just to get the information you need, and then turn it off. Because the children are going to be listening to that in the background, and then seeing the
Oh,
ambulance can
mm-hmm.
cause extra anxiety. The number count, for kids who understand how high the number count is, um, just turning that off. The other thing as parents to do is get your information from reliable sources, not going to Facebook or Twitter or Instagram for your information, but go straight to the CDC website or straight to your state's website. Check in once a day in the morning, and then move on, and you have the information you need. Um,
That's a really good thought, because whenever I hear parents talk about, or even me, I'm not going to throw other
mhm.
people under the bus, but when we talk about screen time, I never think about my screen time.
Yeah,
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 that's great advice. I never even thought about that.
yeah, and especially with just cell phones too, and in times where we don't need to be using them. You go to the beach, and the beach is a beautiful place to relax, and you see everyone on their cell phone.
Yeah,
Enjoy where you are and in your moment, and that's going to lower your stress too. And it's also been proven that the more screen time you have, the higher your anxiety is. So the less screen time, the more you're able to be in the moment with your children, the better your stress level is going to be.
nice.
But
Thank
also for children, you asked about children's screen time.
you. Yeah,
So right now they have to do some of their schoolwork on the computer.
yeah,
Um, and so one important thing for older children, especially adolescents and teenagers, is monitoring what they're seeing on their device.
yeah,
So if they're playing on their tablet in their bedroom, you don't really know what they're watching or what they're looking up. Especially adolescents are really good at clearing their history. So unless you're monitoring what's on their screen, you don't know what they could be viewing, and it's
Yeah.
pretty easy to get to inappropriate content online. So one thing for younger children is maybe have them go on YouTube Kids rather than regular YouTube. Um, and you could do some practical, easy things like putting your computer in the dining room
Mm-hmm.
where the computer screen is facing out. So maybe where when you're walking by, you can see what's on the screen. Um, that's really good. Or not allowing them, setting boundaries with cell phones. If they're
Yeah.
allowed to have a cell phone and they're a younger child, maybe they're not allowed to take their cell phone into the bedroom, but it can only be in the living room.
Mm-hmm.
Or they have to turn in their cell phone at night to you so
Yeah.
that they're sleeping. Sleep is another topic that we could go over too, especially with teenagers. All the teens that I see right now and I've been Zoom chatting with, they've been staying up until 5 a.m. at night playing video games and talking to their friends, and then they don't wake up until 3 p.m.
Yeah.
and now they're expected to do schoolwork in that amount of time, but then they want to stay up and talk to their friends, which is good for socializing, but maybe you have to unplug the wireless router at night so that your child is actually sleeping.
Yeah, that's a good point. So one final question. As a parent, what do I need to be aware of? What should I be watching for when that anxiety that everybody's experiencing with just the newness starts to cross over into something more serious? Like if they start doing things like this XYZ,
Mm-hmm.
maybe it's time to start thinking about reaching out to your pediatrician or somebody else.
Sure. Well, I think starting with applying some of those things that we've discussed before, managing your own stress, and setting up some boundaries for your children, and sticking to a schedule. So especially for elementary school children, they go to school and they have specific time frames of things they do. So maybe apply that at home when they're asking, when are we going to eat lunch? When are we going to do this? When are we going to do that? Well, it's at noon every day, remember? So once you apply some of those things and making sure they're getting adequate sleep, adequate food, then if you're still seeing temper tantrums, bedwetting, let's see, if they're getting a lot of stomach aches or they continue to be really irritable, even though you've applied all of these other things, that might be a good time to talk to your pediatrician and check in.
Okay. Keli, I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day. I know you're super busy, but this has been super helpful for any parent that watches this. So I just can't thank you enough for taking the time to talk with us and give us some really practical steps to take with our kids during all of this. So thank you very much.
Sure, no problem. Thank you.